Welcome to Via the Grapevine, proudly brought to you by Tony DaCosta of Liquor City, Claremont, and offering you the chance to learn more about wine, the masters behind them, and even which wines to collect. And today, I'm very excited to introduce you to a brand new business in the wine world, as well as discover a little bit more about a wonderful career option for you should you be interested. As I'm sure you'll agree, COVID pandemic has forced us all to reevaluate our lives in some way or another. And many of us have been forced to find a new or a second or a third source of income. So I would like to highlight the efforts of two scholars and gentlemen of the wine industry, Tinashe Nyamoduka and Spencer Fondaumiere, sommeliers and founders of Somm On Call. And joining me now is Spencer Fondaumiere. Welcome, Spence.
Howdy, Guy. How are you, mate?
Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for taking time out. In fact, I should be thanking your wife for giving you time to chat to us, seeing as it's her birthday today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be paying for that later.
Have you got any special bubbly that you've put on ice in celebration of that? I mean, being a sommelier, you're expected to deliver high quality, right?
Yeah, no pressure. You're always the guy at the restaurant, and like when it's time to order the wine, then I give him the wine list. Yeah, I got a couple of things up my sleeve for her today, which I think she liked. She interestingly introduced me to wine many moons ago, so it's always her claim to fame.
Ah, excellent. Well, I think let's start by sharing with our viewers what a sommelier is exactly. Maybe you can even start with the pronunciation if I'm not getting it right. I mean, yeah, he or she's not just someone that pours wine at a posh restaurant, right?
Well, that's sort of the poster child for it, isn't it? I mean, that's what most people think about when they hear the job. And that it's fine. So a lot of the responsibilities are around that, and that's what a lot of people see the job as. But there's a lot more to it. There's a lot. It's quite multifaceted, and in a changing world, there are a lot of different uses for it. And personally, myself, I haven't worked on the floor about almost 4 years now. But still being able to use the skills that you learn as a sommelier in different aspects and different things that you do. So as I said, it's pretty multifaceted. Your breadth and the length and breadth of knowledge is supposed to be quite vast. There's a great amount of history you need to know, history of vineyard, history of the wines of the world, history of the world and how wines got there and stuff. Geographical knowledge of where what is, that's super important. And then of course the normal taste and all those other things. So it's quite an intense thing, and it's not restricted to wine, which is what a lot of people don't realize as well. There's a lot of there's much you need to know about all sorts of other things, and really a large part of it is the art of being able to pair food with wine or pair food with beverages and making sense of things to taste, making one taste better than the other when in concert. So two better than one and all those things. So it's a pretty cool career, and it's door opener as well, because it's one of those skills, like I said, that you can use in many different avenues.
What was your motivation to qualify as a sommelier?
To be honest, I stumbled into it more than anything else. So I actually studied to be a chef. My background is food, which I suppose is useful if you are learning about
very much.
And when I moved to South Africa, I was pretty sure I didn't want to cook anymore. So I was looking for new opportunities, and I found myself working in restaurants, and I happened to be working in a pretty significant restaurant from a wine perspective, pretty up and coming at the time. A lot of people want to get their wines on their list. And so I kind of very fortunately found myself responsible for that wine list. And that grew. I mean, then that's where the interest was piqued, and then the studying started and really getting into it and understanding what one was from the other and all of that. And then in recent times, a lot more qualifications, a lot more advancements have happened in the sommelier industry in South Africa. And now we can actually internationally certify sommeliers in South Africa, which is something that didn't happen 5 or 6 years ago. Which is great, because I mean, then you can literally open opportunities to the whole world from right over here, which is really fantastic. So yeah, pretty much one led to another.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it sounds like there's a hell of a lot of studying that goes into it, because there is such a wide range of knowledge that's required. As you mentioned, just geography for one, for some that hate geography, but then there's also the food pairing, and so it goes.
This
And
makes it better with wine,
doing
though,
a
because
little
I
bit of
hated geography.
Well, doing a little bit of a research into your background, I mean, I thought I knew you, but I didn't realize that you have a qualification that's something to be very proud of. You're an ASI diploma sommelier. You're one of less than 500 in the world. You also hold a SASA level 2 sommelier certificate, WACT level 3, which I'm still trying to get myself to. I'm a bit scared, but there you go. You're a graduate from the Michael Fridgen Wine Judging Academy, which, as I've heard, is no small feat. It's a CV that sees you currently occupy the role of vice chairman of the South African Sommeliers Association. So, I mean, to someone like me, that sounds quite intimidating and quite a lot of work. What advice do you have for someone who's considering this career?
Well, yeah, geez, it does read a lot better than what it actually is. I mean, some of these, it as I said earlier, it's pretty multifaceted. Once you start the journey, you end up on the rabbit hole. I think you yourself is a good example. Like, I mean, you did one thing, and now you're a WST level 2, thinking about becoming a WST level 3. And I think wine, the knowledge and just the world that it opens itself up to is just this massive rabbit hole that you never stop learning. And heck, I never stop learning, even with all the things I've done. Now I spent the weekend wine tasting in the Bearded River, and it was just eye opening. And there's so many things you didn't even know, and you're like, whoa, blows away. And this is just in South Africa. We're a minuscule country in terms of the entire wine world and all of that. So, there's opportunity to really never stop learning and never stop discovering new and really interesting things about it. And yeah, that's a very cool thing about it. And it's passion driven more than anything else. And I think if anything you're really passionate about, you find the time and you make the time to dig deeper and learn more. And this is one of those things that just gives you so much more. So yeah, I think you can find yourself collecting a lot of fancy titles and accolades and all that stuff along the way, and then you'll sit across a table with a tasting with someone who knows nothing and learn something from them. So that's what's really
So the
cool about it, I think.
Critical success factor then is definitely a passion for it. It's not a career that you would necessarily select because you think there's wonderful money to be made, or somebody told you. It's something that if you've got a passion for it, then you're going to succeed at it, by the sounds of it.
That's absolutely the passion. The passion substitutes the lucrativeness of it. Let's see. No one's going to be
Indeed.
a super millionaire in this industry, but no, I think if you're clever about it, and more than anything else, there's just if you're passionate about it, you'll find, the old adage that you never do a day of work if you love what you do, something like that. It's really what, and like for someone like, so I grew up around food. I loved food from the very beginning. That's why I studied to be a chef, and the opportunity to work in this industry has allowed me to do and explore so much. Eat at really nice restaurants, taste really different things, experiment with lots of different things, and that's cool. And yeah, I think I could be an accountant, lots of money, and then still not do any of that, and I think I'd be poorer for it.
Well, now that we've affirmed that you are legitimate, let's talk about the business that you and Tinashe have started. What was the thinking behind the idea of Somm On Call? That's the name of the business, Somm On Call.
Yeah. Actually, so Tinashe and I have known each other for a really long time. We were neighbors at the old Biscuit Bowl. So I run the lesser known Burrata, and he was the Somm at the test kitchen, and we got to be good mates doing that. We would often be in situations where we'd run out of a certain wine and sort of tell the guest, "I'll be right back," and run across the passage to, like, "Listen, dude, you got any of this?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, sure." And that was how that's how our relationship began. And we both were really passionate about wine, without being, I suppose, we really enjoyed the business of wine. We really enjoyed talking about that, and we both sort of studied around that and that kind of thing. And we always wanted to do something together, and then just life developed. Tinashe started his own brand, Kumusho, which he's doing really well with. And then I went off. I was working at Warwick for a good 3 years, and so we really got stuck into that. And then COVID happened, and that changed the scene for both of us, for lots of other people as well. And we were sort of we sat down and thought, shucks, what do we do? What do we do now? And what happens next? And this is a great opportunity for us to do something. And we got chatting and like, man, so many people are messaging me. Do you have wine? Because it was hard lockdown. Remember, it was a dark time that not many of us want to remember. But
very dark time.
Absolutely. So you're delving deeper into your cellar. The untouchables were getting touched and stuff. And so people would call us up. They'd be like, first, do you have wine? Others would be like, hey, listen, I'm about to open this. You think it's a good time? Others would be like, someone's offering me this. Is this a good deal? And, they realized that our calling, what we did professionally was even though COVID had happened, the need for it hadn't ended. And in sort of monetize it, we figured one of the coolest things we did, and this is something we both really had in common, was that we'd find really interesting wines, because a lot of restaurants have a very same selection. I mean, there's only so many suppliers, right? So you can drink this wine at restaurant A, B, or C. And we look to find really unique wines, so like small batch wines, just interesting wines, things that required our skill as somms, required our little black book to find the people who make them, and then get these wines. So when people eat at the restaurant, they'd be like, "Yo, I love it. I can only find this wine here. That's another reason to go there." And we thought we could sort of marry the two, both the interest that people had in wine, and also find these wines and share them with people. And hence that the birth of the idea of Somm On Call was pretty much around that. I mean, it's developed a little bit from what it started, but I think most businesses go that way. And yeah.
So in terms of the technical working of it, how does it work exactly? Is it like an Uber for wine?
A little bit more complicated, a little bit more simple at the same time. So basically, what we ideally want to have is you sign up. So you get on to sign up, and you give us your details. You give us your details because we need permission to talk to you. It is the new Poppy Act and how things work. So once we get that, then every 2 weeks we'll have a new offer. So we'll have 2 wines that we sourced from somewhere, and we'll offer them. And they're all limited quantity stuff, because it's all stuff that's not made a lot. And so for the first week of it, if you sign up to the database, you get first dibs at those wines. And then in the second week, we open it up to the rest of the world, and anyone else who gets on the website can buy the wine from there. And then we'll ship it directly to your doorstep. And then that happens every Monday, every second Monday. And then every second Thursday, we have an open Instagram live session with anyone who wants to talk about the wines that they bought, see what they felt and all that. So we can just really engage. And that's really like the opportunity you get as a somm on the floor to talk to people about the wines that they've drunk and how they enjoy it and all of that. And then that sort of bridges into now the communication part. So then that conversation will just go as it will go. It's not scripted or anything. So if anyone wants to ask about, what they want to buy, what they want to drink, and all of that, you can do that then. And then we just sort of extended that service further. So we have a dedicated communication line, and obviously on our socials. So if anyone has a question, you're standing in front of a wall of wine at Checkers or wherever, and you're like, what do I buy? You can always reach out to us, and we'll let you know. So that's the idea.
Excellent. If you're looking for guests for your Instagram chat, Hector Macbeth, I've discovered recently, is not just a whiskey guru, but he's also a wine guru, and he's brilliant at describing the nose and palate of things. So he might be a worthwhile person to chat. I'll follow. I'll sit with him next to him, beside him.
What he said.
For that conversation. And will Somm On Call focus purely on wines, or do you touch on spirits?
No, and I think that's the cool thing, and that's really what we're trying to open people's minds to as somms. We want to introduce all sorts of things. So we have some really interesting products lined up in the pipeline for probably. I mean, there's actually only like 6 more fortnights to the end of the year, so we're probably going to concentrate on wine to begin with, and then early next year we'll start rolling out a few really interesting things, because there are some really cool things being made out there, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So yeah, I think that'll be exciting.
Again, Hector Macbeth brings some very interesting spirits into the country. So.
Does he though? Ah, cool. Maybe good conversation to have. I think he'll be probably one of our first guests in our Instagram live conversation.
By the sounds of the platform, you've got a lot going on. So is it just you and Tinashe that are replying and responding to people who are in checkers, or who are the somms that are on call?
Surprisingly, at this point, just the two of us, and we have lots of ambition to grow this. You know, I think the trade in itself is somms, even just the service trade is on the back foot after COVID and the knock-on effects of it. So there are a lot of talented people out there looking to make some extra money, looking to use their skills in different ways. So you know, I think it's all a question of scale. I mean, at this moment in time, we only launched 2 weeks ago, so 3 weeks ago. So the database isn't as big, and we're not fielding a million questions just yet. But we're hoping to, and when that comes on, we are going to look at bringing on a lot more somms on the board and stuff, and even develop it further in the pipeline. We have some plans to allow people to actually be able to hire a somm for an evening or for an event or for a period of time through the platform as well. So I think it'd be great. It'd be a cool thing to do for the industry. I think the industry's done a lot for both of us, and it'd be nice to give back in some way. So yeah, if all goes well, that would be a cool plan.
That's the key with anything in the wine industry, is if all goes well. And I wish you the best of luck, because
yeah, thanks, guys.
It's a challenging time, and Google keeps presenting me with articles about how difficult the wine industry is, and I'm thinking, but Google, why the negativity? You know, why don't you present me with something uplifting? You're not Facebook, for goodness sake. But there you go.
Yeah, man.
I've got some quick fire cues to end. These are just fun questions. They're not deep and meaningful.
I'll try not to overthink them.
Yes, exactly. First answer that comes to mind, spit it out, and just for a little bit of fun for us to get to know you even more. So we'll start off with, and I've learnt my lesson here because I've asked this question before, favorite variety to drink, and I immediately get asked, oh, red or white? So I'm going to offer you a red and a white. Favorite variety to drink out of each of those?
It depends, mate. Both. It depends, like, man, time of day, time of year, moods, that kind of thing. No, I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to drinking. And I think that's important. You need to be. You know, you can't really lock yourself into a corner of different things. Otherwise, you'll find yourself drinking the same things all the time.
But there's got to be a secret favorite or a quiet favorite that you don't even necessarily realize that you will automatically go to. So for me, if there's a selection in whites, I will always look at the Chardonnay first, for example. And if there's a selection of reds, I'll look at the Pinotage. So what's that for you?
That's cool. So seasonal, well, currently right now, I'm really enjoying light reds. So your Rhone style blends, made in a really elegant way. So fairly low alcohol. Easy to drink, that kind of thing. So really enjoying that from a red perspective. And white red at the moment, I'm really enjoying Chenin. It's an interesting one. I like Chardonnay for a very long time. Yeah, from the breeder, absolutely, probably is. But no, enjoying them in all different styles. Actually, in fact, the very simple unwooded, lots of fruit style is going quite nicely at the moment. I'm coughing a lot of that right now. Probably more than I should be, but yeah.
And I imagine that those fruity wines are probably the ones that you would be looking at pairing as well with food. Or am I out of the ballpark here? I mean, I haven't studied to be a somm, so I don't know. Just ignore that question.
You don't need to. I've studied, well, first of all, to know what you like. But what do I? No, to be honest, fruit is one dimension. And if you're pairing. Fruit can be incredibly simplistic because it'll be quite dominant. You know, just be then fruit and then you know what then what else. I think the best wines or the more interesting wines to pair are wines which have a bit more complexity. So a little bit of oak in there, a little bit of lease aging, a little bit of extra bottle age, and that kind of thing, which just gives more than one element. So you're tasting more than one different facet at a single time. So you sort of like, oh, that's really nice. And then when you pair that, you can pair it with more complex dishes because there's more going on, and it allows you to say more fancy things like this. You know, you just got you can go, here's a lollipop and here's some Shannon. You know, it's a bit more. Yeah, you can do a bit more.
Thank you. Well, I mean, that was the answer to question 1 out of 5. Quick fire.
No, this is going well. Eh? We're going to be 1 hour later. We shall be at the end of this. Okay, I'll be more concise with your next one. Go.
Okay, so we'll talk music now. Somm Body, I used to know by Gotcha, or Want Some More by Nicki Minaj.
I love puns. I got somebody I used to know. I like that. So there's a time when it just came out. Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool. I had a good long phase. I really like that song.
Yeah. Magnum PI or James Bond Shaken Not Stirred. And I'm taking that your laugh can see the puns in there.
I can. I love it. I think I'm gonna say this is not just for the sake of your fun. Magnum PI. Magnum PI was very cool. My mom was a huge fan, so we watched it growing up. The reruns, because I'm not that old. We used to watch the reruns over and over again, and she, what's his name? Tom Selleck, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
with the tash.
She had a massive crush on him, so we watched a lot of Magnum PI and his red Ferrari and his mustache.
And I imagine that Somms like to sell Magnums because it means less running, doesn't it? Once you've brought that massive bottle to the table, pour that.
Yeah, except
that table's good to go.
The trade-off is you have to pour the damn thing, which is a lot harder than pouring a bottle. But surprisingly, people don't drink Magnums enough. And one of the next wines, I'll let you know, see, one of the next wines we're going to have on the Somm On Call release is going to be a Magnum. It'll be interesting to see what the uptake on it is. But a funny sidebar, when I used to work in restaurants, I put a little section on the wine list of just Magnums. We had a big party coming on and be like, listen, buy the Magnum because there are a lot of people and that's work for me. And they're like, no, that's way too much wine. We're just going to have a bottle. Then the other night they have like 6 bottles of the same wine. I'm like, should I have the Magnum? But anyway,
could have been
underappreciated, certainly.
So today's your wife's birthday. Is it going to be a picnic or a braai to celebrate?
To be honest, neither. But I'm useless around the fire. It's terrible. It's probably the least masculine thing about me. I can't start one. I can't even keep one alive. It's terrible. I'm absolutely useless.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
So
I have a gas braai. Yep, definitely going to be the picnic. I can work with that.
And then this question is not meant to be for over 18s only. It's literally based on the work that you do.
Spit or swallow? Interesting. Wait, depends on what's in the glass, guy. Is that neat?
I must admit that the first time I was included in judging something, I panicked because it was 87 wines, and I said, I'm going to be broken by the 4th one. And they all looked at me and said, you don't swallow, friend. I need to swallow in order to really get the full. And that's when I got taught that spit until you find one that maybe piques your interest, then go back and just swallow just as little bit as you possibly can so that you can make more notes on that. And I guess that's what you're proficient at as a wine judge.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to a point. I've been fortunate. I've got to do quite a lot of judging in the last sort of 3-4 years, and it doesn't get easier. I must be honest. Like you think you do it often enough and you'd be able to nail it, but it does take a couple of glasses to get into your groove and really feel like you're onto it. But it's a very fun thing to do. Once you get into it, it's a very cool thing to do, and it's a great way to get your practice up, just to taste constantly and then decide and understand how your palate works and stuff. So yeah, but like you, I mean, when I first started, I think it was actually at the judging academy, and I arrived fashionably late, which was terrible because everyone else is there, and I was sort of put on the spot because I was the first one in, and they were like 10 wines, and he was like, "Okay, cool, describe them," and I'm like, "I'm still drinking the third one." I haven't got to tasting all of them, but yeah, that's how you learn, I guess.
Was a case of having to swallow your pride, I guess.
Dang, dang, dang. Well done, guy. Good one.
Visit Somm On Call, and that's spelled SOMMON call. Visit sommoncall.co.za to register for their service and do your part to save SA wine. Of course, if you fancy your luck, then you can answer the easy question here on the Via the Grapevine page. Spencer's very kindly agreed to give us a case of 3 wines, personally selected for your sipping pleasure. And I won't put you on the spot right now and ask you what those are, but thank you for the prize. I'm sure there'll be something interesting.
Oh, they will. No, actually, they are selected from our pipeline for the next wines we're going to be releasing over the next few weeks. So I can guarantee you they'll be interesting. Some cool wines there.
Excellent, Spencer. Thank you for your time, man. It's been lovely chatting with you, and we wish you the best.
Only a pleasure, guy. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was really cool chatting to you, mate.
It's a pleasure, man. Of course, this Via the Grapevine was brought to you by Liquor City Claremont. Visit their wine emporium for a journey via the Grapevine.